Hello, you're listening to the X106 Sports Podcast. Trevor, Maeder, Neinow, and Evan Brown here today to bring you what's going on in the sports world. Interesting show coming up on the docket. We have the dumpster fire known as the national championship game last night. We're going to talk some women's college basketball, and opening day was this past weekend, so we're going to look into what to expect from the Royals this year here on the X106 Sports Podcast. As I mentioned, I'm joined by Neinow and Evan Brown. Did you guys catch a game last night?
No, man, I had better stuff. No, just kidding. Yeah, of course I watched it.
You probably should have found better stuff to do.
Well, the first half was all right. The second half kind of went downhill really quick.
It's a giant suck fest.
It really was.
The first half of the game was actually really good.
I was very entertained the first half of the game, and then, like I said, it's just like they flipped the switch, and both teams just kind of.
Well, I mean, I don't think the teams flipped a switch. I think the umpires decided officials, referees, guys who make the calls. You know, I don't care what you call them. They had an impact on the game, and you could see it. I mean,
yeah.
In like the first 8 minutes of the second half, I think there were 16 fouls called.
Yeah.
I think 8 on each team.
44 throughout the whole game, and like 29 of them in the second half. It was bad.
Yeah, they almost didn't call any fouls in the first half, and then all of a sudden they just out of nowhere.
And I was fine with that in the first half because, I mean, they weren't mugging. It was a physical style play. They weren't mugging each other. I mean, I didn't see any calls in the first half that I thought should have been fouls that weren't. But the second half, it was, man, the refs should have just swallowed their whistles.
I mean, it's the national championship. You got to let these guys play.
Yeah, it was bad. I mean, and I don't think it helped that both teams shot atrociously as well. I mean, Carolina shot 15% from three.
Mm-hmm.
That's
35. I mean, I'll round it up to 36. Just
yeah,
a bit of it
all around. And 58% from the free throw line. That's like Josh Jackson numbers.
No, I mean, you're not wrong.
Yeah. No, yeah, that's bad. So Gonzaga, they couldn't get any production from their bigs, and that was the part that I thought would probably be Gonzaga's strength was Karnowski and Collins. And then Collins got in foul trouble early on, and he
fouled out with 8 minutes,
7 or 8 minutes to go in the game. So, and then Karnowski was getting good looks inside. They just did a great job defensively, and I think once he started missing a couple, then it kind of became psychological, and he was in foul trouble too. He had 4 fouls, there towards the end of the game, so he had to be kind of timid. They just never could find their mojo there during the game, and it was tough for Gonzaga. But overall, what do you guys think of the game on a scale of 1 to 10?
I'd give it a 6.5.
If we're just going on the first half, I'll give it like an 8.
Yeah, first half I'd say an 8. Well, second half.
Second half, if I could go negative, I would. So I'll give it a 1. Okay. I will give it a 1 for the first 12 and a half minutes of the second half because it was awful. The last half, probably like a 5.
Yeah, the last 7 minutes or so, once everyone had 4 fouls and was trying to basically not play defense, was pretty good. But the game never really got a flow to it, never had a rhythm to it because, they had no more than, drive down, someone drive in the lane, whistle, foul. Barry, take it down to the lane, foul. I mean, the referees just, I don't want to blame the referees because they were not why Gonzaga lost or North Carolina won. I mean, don't have 14 turnovers if you're Gonzaga, and you will probably win the game. But they just didn't allow the game to ever get any flow. And maybe that's not necessarily their job, I don't think. I don't think it's up to the officials to set the tempo of the game. It is the athletes to do that, but whether we like it or not, sometimes it is the officials end up setting the tempo of the game.
Yeah, and you mentioned those 14 turnovers, and North Carolina also had 14 more shots than Gonzaga did.
Yeah. So they also missed a lot of shots,
they missed a lot more, but, I mean, that's what, set them apart.
North Carolina had the worst three-point shooting night for a team in the national championship game ever.
What was Justin Jackson doing?
I don't know. I had a friend.
Trying to be Steph Curry out there, man.
I had a friend earlier this week try to tell me that Justin Jackson was the best player in the nation and should have been Naismith Player of the Year.
Absolutely not.
No.
Not after that.
You can't really argue. I mean, because and his argument was that he played in the best conference in college basketball. Well, the AC might have had the national championship team, but they only had one team in the Sweet 16. And really, the ACC beat up on each other so much this year. Really, outside of the ACC, who was that good? North Carolina and Duke? I wasn't sold on Louisville all year or Florida State, and it showed.
Notre Dame kind of caught fire.
Notre Dame, yeah.
But, I mean...
Yeah.
Other than that, I mean, they were all just kind of average ACC teams.
I mean, Duke was, and even Duke was streaky.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
But you look at the Big 12, you had Kansas, who was, I think, the best team in the nation. I thought all year they were the best. I just didn't know they'd get it together. Baylor,
West Virginia.
Baylor was maybe one of the most talented. West Virginia had the best defense. I mean, they were so sluggish in their style. Yeah, so I think it's probably rightfully so. Justin Jackson was 0 of 10 or 0 of 9? 0
of 9 from 3.
Yeah, that's bad. Joel Berry had their only threes.
Yep.
The guy with one ankle had their only threes.
Yeah, and I think that had a bit of an impact towards the end of the game. I think him and Nigel Williams-Goss, they both kind of had not the same injury, but it had an impact on.
Yeah. No, and the Perkins kid from Gonzaga, he had like 13 points in the first half and didn't score it all in the second half. That was huge. Matthews kind of had a decent first half for him, and then he was quiet in the second half. I will go ahead and get up on my soapbox here. North Carolina, to my money, had the worst Final Four that any team has ever had to a national championship game. Look at that game against Oregon. They were trying to lose that game.
Tried to lose this one, too.
Yeah, I mean, they missed 4 free throws in a row? Down the stretch. 9 times out of 10, you're going to lose that game. And they don't. They're up 1, and they miss 4 free throws. Unbelievable.
And then an unforced turnover. By Gonzaga just throwing the ball away.
And to give you an idea of how bad they were in the Final Four, Joel Berry might as well have not played in the game against Oregon, and he was the MVP of the Final Four because who could they give it to? Meeks was good one game, bad the other. Jackson, good one game, bad the other. Pinson, not really good in either one. Luke May, who was the hero in the Elite Eight, didn't do anything. So, I mean, where could you go with that? They probably got it right with Joel Berry, but then where could you have gone with Gonzaga if Gonzaga would have won at Williams-Goss?
Oh, Karnowski definitely.
Karnowski was awful. I mean, it was bad. I almost felt bad for the guy. Because that's a guy I've always liked.
I thought he was going to eat. I thought he was going to tear Kennedy Meeks apart.
I thought Karnowski'd have a double-double. I honestly thought he'd go for like 22 points and 12 rebounds.
He got 9 points, 9 rebounds, almost got
But
it.
how many? But what? 6 of those 9 were at the free throw line? 7 of the 9?
Yeah,
I remember having... He had an one opportunity, he missed it. I remember that. And Collins had a good game when he played. How many points? Collins had 9 points?
Yeah.
So, the bigs for Gonzaga had 18 points. I thought they'd have somewhere between 30 and 40.
Oh, yeah.
That's
what they needed if they wanted to win.
That's a letdown. But you look at these teams, next year, North Carolina could return the bulk of theirs. Jackson's a junior, so he might stay. Joel Berry's a junior. I think they lose Meeks, I'm pretty sure. But they return the bulk of theirs. And then Gonzaga, they only lose Shemek Karnowski and Jonathan Williams. So they return Williams-Goss. They return Zach Collins. Unless Collins declares the NBA. I don't think he will. I think he'd be smart to stay one more year.
Oh, he definitely would be. But they already projected him as that top 10, top 15 pick. And
I would stay, and you could be a top 5 pick next year. Because what's the draft class look like next year outside of Michael Porter and Trae Young?
We'll find out.
Grayson Allen.
Yeah.
I mean, Grayson Allen could be a top 10 pick next year. And I'm a Duke fan. Grayson Allen's game does not transfer to the NBA.
Not at all.
It's like Doug McDermott. I mean, it's just not going to happen. So, that'll be interesting. I think he'll stay, but I could be wrong. So
it'd be good for Gonzaga if he did stay.
Yeah.
I think unless you are a lottery pick, stay. No matter what, because you won't get hurt, I think. Well, hurt
unless you
of,
actually get hurt.
Yeah. That's the only way your draft stock is going to go down.
Yeah.
But the pros definitely outweigh the cons in that situation.
Because I've seen guys that I think had they stayed another year in college could have helped their draft stock. Miles Turner. I mean, he was a guy that everyone thought might be the top pick, and then Kelly Oubre, a Kansas guy, another one that I think hurt his draft stock by declaring early.
He should have stayed.
I mean, Justice Winslow, maybe if he would have stayed another year, could have probably been the number 1 pick or number 2 because Simmons would have been 1, I'm sure. But Yeah, so that's just interesting take there. I look for Collins to stay, and I look for Jackson to leave. I think he, as Sean alluded to on our podcast we did earlier, no team that has won the national championship has made it past the Sweet 16 in the last 10 years.
Yeah, and
interesting.
Yeah, so
why would you come back and try and do it again when this is probably going to be the highest that you're going to be able to get in while you're in college?
Yeah. Now, if you look at the flip side of that, the team that has lost the national championship game, the Carolina became the first team to lose the national championship game and rebound by winning it since, I believe it was Kentucky in 97. They lost in 97 and they won it in 98. But they were the last team to do that. So maybe Gonzaga can become the next team to do that. I guess we'll see.
Maybe. I think now that they've been able to get this far that they'll be able to do it because they just hadn't been able to get past the hump of the Final Four.
And I think Mark Few's a really good coach. I think this is big for the program. Zach Collins was the first McDonald's All-American they had ever had at Gonzaga. I mean, Williams Goss, but they didn't recruit him. He transferred from Washington. So, I think it's big for Gonzaga, and I would be surprised if we're back there next year. But transitioning on now, staying with basketball, do you guys keep up with or catch any of the women's tournament?
Yeah, I did. I watched the second Final Four game between Mississippi State and Connecticut, and then I watched the title game because it's,
How'd the Mississippi State-Connecticut game go? I heard there was an upset.
Oh, yeah, there was a little bit more of an upset. Connecticut just really didn't have things going for them, which is really weird to say because this has, been their worst game in the past 112?
13.
Something like that.
I thought.
It was crazy. They just didn't have shots go down. I mean, it has to end at some point, but I was very shocked that it was now.
Where do you think this ranks on, and this is, it's kind of tough to put this in the spectrum, and let's be real, none of us probably followed with the women's college basketball game as much as we should. Where do you think this ranks as far as all-time sports upsets? It's got to be up there.
I mean, it's on par with when Notre Dame ended the streak of UCLA, just because that's kind of the only thing that you can actually compare this streak to, other than UConn streak that they had before, but that was lost in the regular season. And to have it be at this point is just wow. I mean, it's hard to be able to judge it in my life because this is a 2 beating a 1 seed. This isn't like if 1 would go out and lose to a 16 seed, but it's just because of how good Connecticut is. So,
I think this ranks up there close to the Giants-Patriots because this UConn team I thought was one of the best teams ever. Up there with those UCLA teams. And you can argue that maybe the women's game isn't as strong as the men's game. I don't know, but I thought this team would raffle stomp their way to a national championship, and they did. It looked like I didn't catch the game. I came in on it literally as it was ending, but it looked like they were basically just playing not to lose. And normally when you do that, you put yourself in a situation where you lose.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I'd be lying to you if I told you that I watched the game. But I really do believe if I would have watched it, I would have thought of top 3 upsets ever, just because this was a 111 game winning streak, the longest winning streak ever. It's just nuts. And if you look back, UConn and Mississippi State played the year before. Mississippi State lost by 60, 98 to 38, which is crazy. And then you think in this game they end up winning it by 2. So it adds more to the storyline. They have beef from I wouldn't necessarily say beef, but they had something that they really wanted to prove. They proved that they weren't that 60-point loss team that they were the year before. They improved on their record. They were 28-8 when they played UConn last year. They're 33-4 now, and they beat David. In the proverbial David and Goliath. So
yeah,
it's crazy.
Well, you look at
Goliath. Excuse me.
You look at UConn's tournament. They beat Albany by 61, Syracuse by 30, UCLA by 15, and they kind of got lucky in the Elite Eight. They had 10 seed Oregon, beat them by 38, and then you dropped to Mississippi State, who then turned around and dropped to South Carolina on Sunday. So, yeah, man, was that an upset? Or, I mean, it was crazy. Now, this raises the question, and I tweeted this out after it happened, and some people agree with me, some people don't. I said the women's college basketball game is so much better when UConn loses. Am I right or am I wrong?
I mean, personally, I like to see UConn win. You know, I like Gino. He's a great coach. But, I mean, it makes it a lot more competitive when they do lose. And I guess that's what I'll say to that. I like seeing a team win 111 straight games. You know, it's kind of cool. But at the same time, there's no competition if that happens. But now, who knows? There might be more competition to come. You know, UConn might not get all the best recruits now. Maybe they go to Mississippi State, South Carolina. I mean, those are like three of the big teams that we've seen in the past couple of years. So,
kind of to go with that, I mean, because of the way basketball is, you can't have, you know, the best 14 players in a class go to that school. So I think that it's still going to take time, and I think coaching is a, you know, way too big a part of like why this is a big separation. Because I think he's the best college coach for the game, and he may be the second best coach overall in like all of college basketball. And so
who's number one?
Probably Coach K at that point. You know, like, you know, it's not really it's fair is not the right word, but because he's that good of a coach, they already have that much of an
advantage.
Yeah. And so I don't know. It doesn't just come down to who are the best, you know, kids on the court. So I don't know how to quite, you know, make the game better at that point.
I think, you know, I'm a guy that embraces excellence, and there's times where when you see something, you just have to sit back and realize how great it was. Just like Madison Bumgarner in the World Series a couple years ago. As much as I hated to see it happen, there's part of me that was like, hey, this guy's doing something I may not ever see again. So, you know, we might not ever see something like what UConn has done unless they do it again. But on the flip side of it, I think it's fun when that happens, because if UConn wins 150 in a row or 190 in a row or 300 in a row, it just gets boring. You know, why do you think people don't fill out women's brackets the way they do men's brackets? Because while when you fill your men's bracket, you might have thought North Carolina had a chance to win it, but you could have said the same for Gonzaga, Kentucky, Duke, UCLA, Kansas, Villanova. I mean, 7 or 8 different teams. How many people, unless you were an alumni of that school, legitimately thought, oh, they're going to beat UConn. They can beat UConn.
Not a lot of people.
Yeah.
All the professional analysts and everything didn't think so.
Yeah. No. And I don't blame them. I'm not.
Oh no.
Not faulting them for that. But I think it just makes the game better when you have those upsets, and you know, it keeps you on your toes, and it makes it more interesting, because had UConn won by 20, no one would have been talking about it. Had UConn gone around and won the national championship game, people would have said, "Wow, what an impressive year by UConn! That team's amazing." But it wouldn't have been it wouldn't have been the same. It would have been the same thing as it's been forever. And I think it's good when you have parity like that. And that's not to say UConn isn't going to respond by just turning around and winning, going 40-0 next year. That could very possibly happen.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I liked it. Some people might not have. I don't care. I liked it. Are we ready to talk some Royals baseball?
I've been waiting for you to say it.
Yeah, I know you were enjoying that women's basketball talk. But man, wasn't yesterday rough for the Royals? They got knocked around pretty good. That was hard to watch.
Of all things, it's our bullpen that, you know, is there to kill us at the end of the game.
Yeah, the one thing that you expect the Royals to be really, really, really good with was the one thing that killed them yesterday. It's still early. There's still 161 games left. They could still finish 161-1. Let's not panic too much. But the way that bullpen imploded after Duffy pitched a really good game.
Yeah.
I mean, that was tough to watch.
Yeah, I mean, like, just look at Duffy's stats. He had 6 innings pitched, 3 hits allowed, 1 run, an earned run, 3 walks and 8 strikeouts, and he allowed a home run. That's the only run he allowed was that bomb by Sanu, Muhammad, or what's his name?
Miguel Sano.
Miguel Sano, thank you. I got Mohamed Sanu and Miguel Sano mixed up. It's kind of funny. But,
little different.
But the three pitchers that the Royals put in, Strom, Moylan, and Wood, they were all lefties. I just thought that was kind of weird. Like the ones that messed us up.
And Moylan struggles with left. Because I thought Moylan, when he struck out Buxton, actually didn't look bad, but he struggles with lefties, and they were kind of concerned with, can't think of who was up after him. Was it Castro?
Yeah, I think it was Jason Castro. Yeah.
And like say that guy could not hit worth a squat last year. I had my fantasy team, and at one point he hit like 111. And then he turns around yesterday and knocks in that one. I don't want to be the guy that panics over the offense after one game. And Irvin Santana's a pretty good pitcher too. He's their ace, which is saying something because Minnesota's rotation is awful. I look for the Royals to bounce back tomorrow. What time do they play tomorrow? Is it like
I think it's 12:10.
That was I can't remember if it was 12:10 or 1:10. I'm looking it up right now. It is a 12:10 tip-off, or first pitch, I guess, technically. Sorry, basketball. It'll be Ian Kennedy against Hector Santiago. I'd be lying if I said I knew much about Santiago. He's from Newark, New Jersey. He pitched for the Angels. He has a career ERA of just under 4. So, not bad. Yeah, I mean, and Kennedy's is probably somewhere around there. So I think if they can win 2 of the next 3, then I think they're fine. I mean, you're not going to win.
It's a long season.
Yeah, you're not going to win them all. I'm not going to panic too much over one game in April. Now, if this becomes a habit, if there's 5, 7, 9 games in a 25, 30 game span where we go into the 8th inning tied or up 1 or down 1 and needing our pitching to just hold us there, and it happens, then yes, I'm going to be concerned. I'm going to be greatly concerned. But, the season isn't over yet. I'm not going to sell my tickets yet. I mean, it's still pretty early.
Even if this team was, awful, I would still go and buy tickets because, this is
They'd be a lot cheaper.
Yep.
Well, yeah, that's true.
And you could probably get almost any seat.
Yeah. I mean, I, grew up in a time when Kansas City was awful. You couldn't even, if you would have thought that this team could have gone over 500, laughing stock. You're like, no, this team's awful. But now it's okay, trying to get back in the playoff push, and hopefully they can get there. One thing that I heard, I can't remember if it was on the TV broadcast or not, that if you would have talked to anybody in the organization about what were the 2 strong points for the Royals in spring training, it was probably offense, bullpen. So it kind of weird thing to point out that those were the 2 things that didn't come together yesterday.
Yeah, didn't come together would be an understatement. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see going down the rest of the season what things look like for the Royals. Mondesi's got to hit better, or just even at all. I mean, he's got to find his role. That was tough yesterday. I hope, like I said, it's not a sign of things to come. Back to the question I was going to ask, and then I forgot it, and now I remembered it. Because I never did get the opportunity to, but did either one of you guys go to any games back when they weren't very good?
Oh yeah, and every time Kyle Davies was pitching.
What was that like? I mean, what was the atmosphere at Kauffman like?
I mean, there wasn't a murmur in the crowd, man. There was, less than 8,000 people there or something, probably even less than that. And I remember one time we got lucky and we got to sit in the Diamond Club or whatever it used to be, and we sat 4 rows up from behind home plate, padded chairs, and I was just beside myself. I'm like, this is awesome. I wish we were good, and you know what I mean. And about every time I ever went to a Royals game as a kid, we'd probably end up losing, by a blowout. Like I said, I'm not kidding. 3 out of the 4 Royals games I went to, in 1 year as a kid, Kyle Davies was pitching. And I don't know if that was for a reason or is my mom bought those tickets specifically, but Zach Greinke was on our team that year. Come on.
Did your mom just look at the schedule and go, Kyle Davies is pitching today, let's go watch him?
I hope not. And I don't think she even knew who Kyle Davies was.
I kind of had the same thing happen to me last year. I got to, I want to say 6 Royals games last year. And Edison Volquez pitched in, I believe, 4 of them because he pitched opening night against the Mets. And then I went to a Sunday afternoon game where it was him and Chris Sale. And he pitched Sunday. Then I went to a Monday night game against Cleveland, and it was him and
Kluber?
I think it was Carlos Carrasco, who's still pretty darn good.
He's good too.
And then I went to a Seattle game where it was him, and it might have been Felix Hernandez.
Wow.
So and then I went to one that was like, I think I saw Yordan Ventura and Cole Hamels too. So I saw some.
Oh wow.
Some
That's
good.
a good
I'd have to go back and double check who was pitching for the Mariners, but I'm pretty sure that it was Felix Hernandez, and then I'm forgetting the other game I went to. I went to a Braves game that it was Danny Duffy's first start of the season. He had that awesome glove play, and I don't know
for Duffy this season, man.
Yeah, he looked really good yesterday. I mean, I think he has the stuff.
I think
to be a Cy Young candidate. Yeah, I absolutely agree. I think he has the stuff. The AL's tough though with Kluber and Sale and Porcello and Verlander. It's
going to be an uphill climb. Yeah, that's for sure.
I think this rotation is one of the best they've had in a while.
I was thinking that just a second ago. You got Duffy at 1, you got Kennedy at 2, and Jason Hamill at 3. If
Hamill stays healthy, that's a good get.
Yeah, he had some great starts early on in the year. It just kind of fell off, second half of the season. But it's going to be interesting. I really think it is.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting too. Vargas stays healthy. I think that's a good one as well.
Yeah.
I don't know about Nathan Carnes. I'd be lying if I said I know much of anything about Nathan Carnes. But if he can just hold his own, I think they're in good standings. I went back and checked. It was Wade Miley. No, it was I can't find the starter, but for the Rangers game, it was Cole Hamels. I remember Giordano got knocked in that game, something bad. I'm drawing a blank on that one. All I remember about that game was it was like 105 degrees, and I'm not kidding you. And we were in the outfield because my girlfriend wanted to sit in the outfield, so we thought we'd buy outfield tickets. And
no, thank you.
It was like 8-0 after the second inning. It was bad. So hopefully, my memories of Royals games this year are going to be better. You guys get any games at Kauffman this year? You got to get to one, right?
Oh, you got to. I don't know. I'll probably just find a free weekend that some buddies are growing up with and probably head up there. I don't know. I don't really have a game, in my sights or anything I really want to go to. But.
I always just kind of browse and look for tickets, and I actually will go down Wednesday night when they play Oakland. And then I've got a couple others picked out throughout the year. It was, wow, I did not know this. It was Mike Montgomery was the starting pitcher. I don't think that's the same Mike Montgomery.
It is.
Really?
It's gotta be.
Yeah, it's the same one that played for the Royals, or at least was a prospect.
No, I'm thinking the one that plays for the Cubs.
Oh, no, not that one. No, that's the...
Yeah, I was like, he's a closer, isn't he?
That's the other one.
Yeah, sorry, no, I meant the one that used to be on the Royals and didn't pan out and then beat us, and it was a...
Yeah, but he actually had a... No, this is a Mike Montgomery that played... They must have traded him.
Trevor, stop getting me confused.
The Mike Montgomery that I saw pitch against Seattle, for Seattle...
Yeah, that's that one.
He was a starter.
Yeah.
They traded him to Chicago at the trade deadline. He was using their bullpen, and he was pretty darn good.
Okay, so it's just the same person.
Yeah, imagine that.
Okay, look at that. We're okay.
And he was part of the Royals. They selected him in the first round of the 2008 draft.
Woof.
I have him on my fantasy team,
Should've kept him.
Yeah.
So I looked up Nathan Carnes. So he
I know he played for Seattle.
Yeah, well, he was on Tampa Bay in 2014, 2015, and then last year got traded to Seattle, and we picked him up. His best year was 2015 when he was in Tampa. He had a 7-5 record, 3.67 ERA. He appeared in 27 games, started 26 of them, 147 innings pitched. Not too bad. He had 145 strikeouts, about a strikeout an inning.
What did you say his ERA was?
3.67.
I'll take that.
But last year with Seattle, he went 6-2, ERA of 5.15. Started 15 games, 94 innings pitched. 101 strikeouts though. So strikeout numbers went up, but that ERA definitely skyrocketed.
Yeah, if we can get those numbers back down to what they were a couple years ago, that'd be awesome.
He appeared in a few more games out of the bullpen. That might have been what, messed him up a little bit.
Yeah.
'Cause that's weird for pitchers, if you're used to going out and starting games and all of a sudden you're coming out in the 6th inning. Out of
Well, it's worked for Mike Montgomery, apparently.
It has.
I mean,
it worked for Wade Davis, too.
Yeah.
I was just going to bring up
Hochevar. Hochevar
that,
wasn't bad.
Yeah, both of those guys really had to, the year that Davis came in as the starter was just horrible.
Yeah.
I don't think I remember him having a good game. The ones that stick out, he's given up 8 runs and he's in the bottom of the first, the bottom of the top of the first, okay, so who else do we have? Not really anyone, but being able to see him change to the closer was great. And I guess another one that the Royals could see as a possible starter would be Travis Wood. He was kind of the other guy who was trying to get the 5th spot, and so I think if Carnes has a bit of a down spot, they might try out Travis Wood and see how that goes.
Mike Minor, if that guy ever comes up
I think he pitched yesterday.
being injured,
that's like the first time he pitched since 2014.
A couple years, yeah, because he had reconstructive shoulder surgery or something
and he was
crazy.
He was just gone.
They signed him for a 2-year deal last year.
Yeah,
knew
so
he
he's
wasn't gonna
got
play.
to get stuff going this year, you would think. Real quick before we sign off, how many wins the Royals get this year?
161.
That would be impressive.
I'm gonna give him 94.
Is that enough to get in the wild card?
I think it is. I hope it is.
John?
I'm going to go with the downside of that, and I'm going to go 83. I think this team can go out and win more, but I think they're going to have to get a few things together. And if they do want to go to the playoffs, they may have to make a trade during the season.
And then the problem with that is you're selling the house.
Correct.
Yeah.
I'm going to go 85. I want to go 89 or 90, but I don't know. I just don't see it. I feel like we're going to have your typical Royals slump at some point where they'll have a couple games where they'll win them 11-9, 12-10, where they'll score a ton of runs. And then we'll have a week-long stretch of they'll lose games 3-1, 4-2.
Yeah, stuff like
it
that.
was, just like last year. I mean, you'd have a game where you'd beat the Nationals 9-8 on a walk-off, and then you'd turn around the next day and beat Atlanta 2-0. So, yeah, I'm not that optimistic. I wouldn't be surprised if they win 90, 95 games, but I also wouldn't be surprised if they lose 90 or 95 games. So I'm going to say 85. So Sean says 83. Evan said 94.
94.
And I got 85.
Sounded like a good number.
Yeah, you're very optimistic. So
you got to be.
Yeah. But baseball tomorrow, 12:10 first pitch. Don't miss it.
Same with Thursday.
Yeah.
And the rest of the year.
No, not all of them, but
no, but it's close. I mean, you're gonna have
because let's see, they're at Houston after this, and then they're at home against Oakland Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Then they're at home against Los Angeles. I think Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I don't remember. I know they play the Angels on Easter, but yeah, that'll do it for the X106 Sports Podcast. Thank you for listening. It was a good show. Check back in here in a couple weeks when we record another one for Evan Brown and Sean Neinow. This is Trevor Maeder.